Hello, everybody. How's it going? So we're gonna start the Wildered Quest storyline, our read along and voice acting trip for Magic the Gathering. So I guess we should start. In a way, Oko pitied the big hunter struggling to break free from the net of thorn-laced vines. The Fae limped around a mass of seething vegetation, admiring his handiwork, its flexibility, strength, and ability to regrow with such speed and vicious energy. A good thing, too, given the size of the stranger who had come within a hair's breadth of murdering him. The man's rusty helm covered his hair, and the top half of his face, making him look all all grimace and teeth. What a brute! The hunter seemed larger now than when Oko had first realized that someone was stalking him through an otherwise pleasant forest on a plain whose name he did not know yet. The size difference wasn't because night had fallen and a full moon changed how objects looked within its glossy light. Magic was afoot. The veins visible beneath the man's pallid skin were streaked with darkness, blood trickling from 100 scratches on his body. Where thorns tore his skin flowed a noxious black corrupted with foul rot. Certainly he smelled rank with dried mud, and substances Oko did not care to reflect on. The matted cloak and filthy clothes held enough stink to slaughter a more sensitive nose than his own. "I am surprised I have to point this out to you," said Oko in his most reasonable tone. "But you cannot rip the vines as fast as I can grow them. You'd be better off not wasting your strength in fighting them." "I'll rip you apart with my bare hands," growled the beast. "A vile and predictable threat I am sorry to hear you utter, but I understand your frustration. It's no wonder you launched yourself at me, an innocent visitor just passing through and tried to kill me." Of course, the creature had no appreciation of irony. He growled with a hostility that felt odd and exaggerated, almost artificial, as if his seething anger was part of the darkness that corrupted his blood. Oko paused at the hunter's sight. A lump bulged beneath the skin between spine and shoulder. It throbbed, not audibly, but in a way attuned to his magical sense. He recognized the signature of its dense power with a jolt of uneasy surprise. The hunter had a shard of hedron embedded in his flesh. Few knew of the existence of hedrons. Fewer still possessed the magic to perform such an operation. Oko certainly did not. Who was this hunter? Why was the hedron implanted under his skin? And who had placed it there? So many questions that needed answers. Oko finished his perambulation of the magical cage of thorns and vines, judging it able to hold for now. Using both hands, the weapon was astoundingly heavy. He dragged the huge axe the man had been carrying until it lay out of range of an easy duck and grab, just in case the beast did break free. Only then did he examine his own injured leg. The cut that had torn his flesh down to the bone was already starting to knit together. He'd had the presence of mind to shift into the shape of a stag, and thus confuse his pursuer for long enough to bolt out of reach. Then he'd been able to shift back and entangle the man in vines. But as he well knew, corruption can always insinuate its tendrils into the purest ground. His vines might already be becoming blighted, and would give way as the man's tainted blood weakened them. Unbound, the man could easily kill him. He didn't dare attempt his usual means for ridding himself of a dangerous foe. To do so, he'd have to touch the beast and risk coming into contact with a tainted darkness writhing within the hunter's flesh. The best action in this case was a swift departure, yet survival usually depended on knowing more than your enemies did. So, what is it you want, my unexpected friend?
To kill you!
Why? Is it my exceptional good looks? My wit and intelligence? My pleasingly mild disposition? The brute made a sound that might have been a grunt of annoyance or possibly a bitten off laugh.
Do you think I can't kill you?
If you could reach me, you certainly could. But forewarned is forearmed, or forearmed if I decided to take the form of an Elegian swamp swallower. But that wouldn't be a good choice for a highland forest, would it? So I fear we must say goodbye to each other before any such disagreeable episode comes to pass. Not the swamp swallower, I mean, though they are disagreeable. Dangerous to magic users, and fetid to boot, rather like you. Killing me is what I mean. You'll understand why I'd prefer that not happen.
You talk too much.
A fair assessment. Well, I am no more eager to see your ugly face again than you are to hear my mellifluous voice. So, to spare your ears and your volatile disposition, I will bid you farewell rather than good riddance. The brute said.
I can follow you anywhere.
Anywhere? Oko paused before he planeswalked away from the quiet forest.
You cannot hide from me! Another world! Another trophy!
His eyes narrowed. Now you begin to interest me. Are you saying you're also a planeswalker?
I hunt planeswalkers!
Have you some reason?
They keep coming after me. If I kill all planeswalkers, then I can hunt in peace.
My friend, your logic is flawed. If you're also a planeswalker.
Don't mock me, pretty boy.
Oko raised both hands in a hands-off gesture. I'm not mocking you. Far from it. You have lit the fire of my curiosity. A corrupting magic courses through your veins. A hedron lies buried in your skin. You've admitted to being a planeswalker, determined to hunt me from one world to the next when you don't even know me, just because I am also a planeswalker. A vendetta, if I am not mistaking the matter, but surely not one directed against me, specifically since we've never met before. Is there anything else you'd like to share with me? Your reasons? Your secrets? The hunter grunted, trying to get his hands free. The thorns tore his skin, but the pain mattered not at all to him.
I'll kill you, he muttered. I will follow your trail until you're dead.
A shadowy tendril of the corruption had slithered its way into one of the vines, which was starting to turn brown. Oko frowned. The rot would spread, and the man would break free no matter how many vines he wrapped around him. This was a powerful curse indeed. Power could be fought. It could be fled. Sometimes it could be bent to another's will. He sighed, but saw no way around attempting the most draining of his magics. If the hunter really was a planeswalker, it wasn't worth taking the chance that he couldn't track him across the multiverse. He took a step closer. The hunter strained, trying to reach him. Oko pinioned the thorn-wrapped brute's gaze with the full force of a magic that long ago had allowed him to escape his persecutors. A meager spoonful of telepathy he'd taught himself to turn another to a better purpose with the aid of a sympathetic smile. A glimmer of comradely hope. A promise of unshakable loyalty. Vendettas are a grievous burden to bear, are they not? I pity you, my friend. There's so much pain in your heart. The man growled hoarsely.
I don't need your pity.
He held the hunter's eyes, didn't let them shift away. With all the force he had to bear, he dug deep past the hostility, the rage, the agonizing sense of betrayal. It was so hard to get there, sweat breaking out on his forehead, pulse thundering in his ears. Deep in the man's mind, he discovered a deeply hoarded grief for a father lost long ago. What an innocent dupe! Fathers always betraying their sons. "What do you need?" he said, pressing deeper into the ancient wound.
"I need more,"
the man whispered, panting as if he were running. But Oko's glamour was a foe he could not outrace. "You are suffering alone, my friend. Share your troubles with me." The man was strong, it was true, but his strength lay in his muscles, his endurance, his axe, and his impressive tracking ability. His will was a polished spear aimed at its target, but his disordered mind had a fragile texture.
"Liliana Ves,"
he whispered, the words torn from an unwilling tongue. For an instant, Oko's control wavered out of sheer astonishment. Liliana Ves.
"She cursed me. The darkness. The rot."
Corruption pulsed into the vines with a surge of anger. The vegetation began to weaken as the man struggled again. Oko drilled down, choking off the man's emotions, wrapping them in a numbing cage as magic dulled the clawing edge of animosity. The brute's shoulders dropped in resignation. His hands opened to hang loose at his side. His lips parted slackly, and not a sound came out. "I'll help you. You can trust me. I am your only friend." And the hunter's struggle ceased. His mind gave way beneath Oko's mesmerizing stare, surrendering to the beautiful, dreaming lie of comradeship and compassion. The spell was complete. Oko wiped his damp brow. He was shaking with exhaustion, shaken by being thrown back into hideous memory. The same technique had been used on him long ago before he'd turned the tables on his captors. The frightened boy in him hated inflicting this on others. Yet, in a cruel multiverse, a person had to use the weapons they possessed to save themselves. People were capable of any awful thing, always filled with their own sanctimonious rationalizations for why they were good and their enemies were bad. Planeswalkers were the worst of an already bad lot. Power did that to people, especially to people he meant, for the time being, to avoid, until more of his plans could be put in place. Meanwhile, what was he to do with the creature who could pursue him across plains and could kill him if he ever got close enough? Should he hack the man into small pieces, now that the hunter languished under his spell? Or use the man to protect him as he went on his way? A shield would prove useful. A first line of defense when, for example, the unexpected ambushed him in an isolated forest where he'd been minding his own business. "What is your name, my friend?" Oko asked with a kind smile. Before the hunter could answer, he shook his head. "No, you don't want to remember your name and every terrible detail you associate with your past, do you?" The hunter bowed his head.
"No, I don't want to remember."
"Let go of the past. You will walk a new path, explore a new destiny. I need a bodyguard. You need a better sense of purpose, one that my quest will provide. I'll call you Dog, and you'll call me Master. Yes, Dog?" The man stiffened and gave way all at once, as if he was too weary to fight on and just wanted to rest. He bent his head.
"Yes, Master."
The brute looked so much more at peace than Oko was pleased. Inflicting suffering on others was the tool of weak-hearted bullies. It worked so much better when people wanted to be helped. He smiled as he curled the vines away to release the man. He even allowed Dog to pick up the big axe. "Let us leave this dull wilderness behind. You and I, my friend, will together seek rule-bound tyrants to overthrow, pious frauds and smug deceivers to unmask, and hypocritical liars to expose. If a few planeswalkers must meet their end, Should they attempt to interfere with me as I better the lives of all, so be it. They will have brought it on themselves. The hunter's eyes sparked with the glimmer of his earlier savagery.
Yes, master.
So that concludes chapter 1 of this entire our start of the book. So we'll continue in chapter 2. I do have to recover. My voice is a little exhausted. I don't have the endurance for it, at least not yet. But we will, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. So I'll see you guys in the next video.